Hello again. We are Southeastern 16 presented by FanDuel. I'm your host, Chris Lee, joined by Chase Robinson and Jay Greeson. Probably the SEC game of the week for a bunch of reasons. Auburn is visiting Norman, Oklahoma to take on the Sooners. You can catch this one 2:30 Central on ABC. Jay, last I checked, FanDuel had Auburn as about a 6.5-point dog in this. Is that about right as of lunchtime Monday?
Yep, that is what I'm staring at on my FanDuel account now. Auburn a plus 195 underdog on the money line with a total a smidge under 49, the magical number of 49 at 48.5. Some interesting and fun, because this is ranked on ranked, FanDuel offers some game special type of numbers that pay big odds. Auburn to not score a touchdown plus 850. Each team to score one or more touchdowns in each quarter plus 5,000. And one I think is kind of sneaky fun. Both teams to score in every quarter is plus 900. And one receiving TD to be scored in each quarter. That could be from either side, plus 800. And you're talking about a talented quarterback on one side and an amazingly deep wide receiver room on the other.
Yeah, I think this is a fascinating matchup. It's obviously, Chase, the return of Jackson Arnold to Norman, where he had a rough year last year because of injuries. John Mateer is probably one of the leading Heisman candidates. We'll get to the defenses because I think both those teams are really good on that side of the ball. And ironically, I might take the under in this one, despite the presence of two really talented quarterbacks, Chase.
Yeah, I mean, and you talked about Jackson Arnold. I mean, this is a big day for him, going back to the place where he played a year ago. I feel like we're seeing a different quarterback than what we saw at Oklahoma last year with him in an Auburn uniform. It looks like a different guy. He's in a different system. He seems more comfortable. He's got he's got time to work. So this is a big deal for him, going back to where he played a year ago, seeing those fans, just that whole atmosphere. And I'm interested to see how he plays in that, how he goes in mentally into that. But yeah, with him on Auburn's side, and then John Mateer, who's been great so far on Oklahoma's side. I mean, this is a really good, two really good offensive teams. Jay, you mentioned the deep wide receiver room that Jackson Arnold has to work with. John Mateer's getting it done as well. A lot of talent on that side of the ball. Like, I really like this matchup, but I really like these two quarterbacks that have really transformed their teams respectively. And like I said, Jackson Arnold looks like a different quarterback. John Mateer has settled into being an SEC quarterback really well to me. It's fascinating to see these two guys.
I think a big part of that, and the word you use, Chase, that I would harp on is transformation. Mateer has galvanized a team that now believes in their quarterback, and last year there was no belief and there was only desperation. There was tons of desperation last year in Auburn because of everybody was waiting for the shoe to drop with Peyton Thorne, whether it was a bad throw, whether it was an untimely sack, whether it was needing to make a throw and missing it. With the exception of the Texas A&M game, no big plays were made. And I think that confidence and that transformation in confidence, especially at Auburn, with Hugh Freeze and his quarterback, there are only three starters in this league at quarterback who have not thrown an interception. They're Ty Simpson, Gunnar Stockton, and Jackson Arnold. And I think while there is some concern that they have not gotten Eric Singleton and Cam Coleman and some of those other dudes who are probably going to play on Sundays more involved in the passing game, there has not been the need yet to get those guys more involved, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, the Baylor game, they certainly didn't need to. I have no faults with what Auburn did in that one. I watched it. It really dominated the point of attack with a pretty good offensive line, and Jackson Arnold was just on fire running the ball. Auburn also, and then I'm wondering, like, does this just come down to a game of, like, who can hold on to the ball longer, which has kind of been Oklahoma's specialty? This is wild. And I get that like Oklahoma's not played good offenses yet. Michigan would be the best that it's played, and Michigan is hardly known for its offense, but Oklahoma has held the ball for 222 plays so far against 156 that other teams have run. And, oh, by the way, Oklahoma's not forced a turnover yet. So that's just 3 and outs. Auburn, we've talked about the issues in the passing game. And I don't look at the yardage total as much because of game flow and stuff. I am concerned, can Auburn throw the ball when it needs to? Your numbers through 3 games on passing plays, which, sacks count as passing plays. Baylor, 5.2 per throw. Ball State, which is probably one of the worst 3 or 4 D1 teams in the country, 6.3. And South Alabama, 5.6. But on the other hand, Auburn is not turning it over. I think Auburn's turned it over once all year, Jay. So the whole who can hold the ball part, because you got 2 really good defenses. One, I think is the storyline. And I think when it comes to running the ball, Auburn's been better so far. Auburn's gotten a lot more out of its running back position. Jeremiah Cobb is, I think, over 300 yards rushing for the year. Oklahoma's rushing attack from that running back position has just not been what we thought. Jadyn Ott has not done much at all for them and barely plays. I guess their guy at this point appears to be a young guy that I don't think we spend any time in preseason talking about. Tory Blalock, who's 31 for $166 and 3. So I think just the who holds the ball longer is an interesting storyline, because I could see this being a game with a lot of 3 and out type drives.
Yeah, and and I think what's interesting when it comes to the run game for Oklahoma is the fact that we haven't seen Jadyn Ott. And like I was incredibly high on him in the offseason. We have not seen him really much at all to even come close to doing what I thought he would do and what others thought he would do. So that's really interesting. They're going to have to be able to run the ball, though. They're against Auburn. Like, they're going to have to be able they can't just rely on what they can do in the air and what John Mateer can do. I really think they're going to have to run the ball. They're going to have to change things up a little bit. Auburn is good defensively. We've seen that this year, and I think they're going to pressure Mateer enough to where they're going to have to change some things up offensively.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think the big difference here, if you're looking at it from Oklahoma's offensive prism, is how do you script a game knowing that Auburn's got a first-round pick at defensive end who is not disappointed, even through double teams in Keldrick Falk, and a couple other guys that have allowed them as a team through 3 games to get 11 sacks and multiple quarterback hurries. Because the one thing Mateer does, if there is a knock to his start of the year, well, there's 2. The first one is he's thrown 3 picks against a mediocre schedule to start the year, all of them at home. And he has a tendency to pat the ball and then look. Okay, I'm going to run around, but I'm going to look again. That clock better be quicker, and the plays better be faster in terms of getting the ball out of your hand and take your first or second read, or you tuck it and run. Now, the reverse of that is Auburn's going to have to tackle extremely well, because Mateer has got wiggle, and when he gets in the open field, Mateer may be their best runner. All apologies to the freshman last week who went north of 100 against Illinois State, and whether they've been holding Ott for injury reasons, discipline reasons, who knows? I don't know. But Jadyn Ott's absence was worth your time talking about, Chase. The game comes to 2 things for me. I think, Chris, you touched on it about who holds on to the ball, not necessarily in terms of time of possession. I'm talking about in terms of turnovers. Yeah. And I'm not going out on a limb there. I hate pregame analysis saying we got to stay ahead of the chains. We need to protect the football. I'm not saying that. But how Mateer handles elite pressure, and can Auburn continue elite pressure? That is where we are. And I think because that's an Auburn calling card in what has been a 3-0 start to a make-or-break year for Hugh Freeze?
Yeah, I think the front sevens in this game are super interesting. I'm looking at the numbers so far. I mean, these are disruptive defenses, okay? First of all, Auburn is giving up 2.9 per rushing play. It's got 27 stops for loss. It's got 11 sacks, and it's forcing turnovers on about 1.6% of snaps. Oklahoma's defense has not forced turnovers, but it just doesn't give you anything. 4.2 yards a rushing play, 2.8 per passing play. That's crazy. Again, I hadn't faced exactly great quarterbacks, but that's hard to do. 26 stops for loss, 7 sacks. The guys up front. Auburn's got Kieran Crawford's had a great year.
Yes,
we know about Keldrick Falk. Xavier Atkins has kind of had an underrated year. 4 stops for loss. And then Oklahoma, like that whole front seven, it's just loaded with NFL talent. Kip Lewis, Grayson Halton, Taylor Wine's been good. Samuel Obo-Siho, I guess is how you say it. Obo-Siho, O-M-O-S-I-G-H-O. My apologies, Sooner fans. But like the tackle sheets are just littered with disruptive dudes, and neither team is giving up anything in the run.
Well, 2 things real quick before I know we got to start wrapping this thing up. I think the first quarter is paramount for both these teams, because if Auburn can handle the avalanche of emotion and all the feels of Jackson Arnold returning, and they can either be tied or ahead and can continue to run the football, that's paramount. Secondly, we'd be remiss not to mention this. You mentioned all those dudes at Oklahoma, especially in their front seven. Our Thomas Mason is going to miss the first half before a targeting.
Yeah, and that's a high level NFL dude.
Absolutely, he is. So that and he's a hand in the dirt on every snap, demand a double team defensive lineman. So in that regard, I mean, yes, there are injuries in the Auburn running back room that we're unaware, that we don't know. The injury report comes out for every coach not named Lane Kiffin on Thursday, so we're not privy of that. Lane Kiffin just does whatever the hell he wants and says whatever the hell he needs to. But that's a huge part of this game going into it as we talk Monday.
All right, let's get to picks momentarily. Before we do that, a reminder, we're brought to you by Game Time Sidekicks. Jay, you're welcome to hold up your mug there while we're doing this. Officially licensed stainless steel drinkware, every SEC school, 350 other universities, stainless steel sippy cups, tumblers, 40-ounce bottles, and shaker cups. SE16 for your 20% discount off your entire order at GameTimeSidekicks.com. Also brought to you by Rockform, the world's strongest magnetic phone case, extreme protection, super strong magnets, Rock Lock secure mounting. September is the busiest month of the year with the new iPhone release. SEC 25 gets you 25% off your entire order at Rockform, ROKFORM.com. Hovey Dry Goods, love their stuff too. They make your new favorite hat. No further than Hovey hats for high quality headwear with a great fit and unique designs. The Bad Beat Team of the Week gets you a discount every week. I don't have this week's yet, but last week was Rebs, already BS. That should get you 15% off your entire order. Rebs were the Bad Beat Team of the Week because they caught a field goal against Kentucky late to keep them from covering. So anyway, Hovey Dry Goods, Hovi. Make good stuff. Again, get your discount, 15% off your order with promo code REBS. Let's do picks. I'll go Jay, Chase, and then me. So Jay, get us started with your picks and why.
Okay. Everything points to this game being at home, having the better quarterback, both coaches desperate. Auburn wins outright. I think the defensive line is too much. I think the secondary is dotted with NFL dudes, and I think this is Cam Coleman's coming out party.
Interesting. Chase?
Valid. And I've gone back and forth on this one because I think it's going to be a really good game. If it was in Auburn, I would probably pick Auburn. But with it being in Oklahoma, I think that will help. I think Oklahoma wins a close one. Saturday against Auburn.
Jay, I think if they can get the ball to Coleman and Singleton, Auburn's got a good shot to win the ball game. The problem is they just haven't so far. And I know that sometimes you're trying to do things and focus on the run and you're winning games. But I think that the per attempt thing is what bothers me. When you're trying to throw, or are you throwing it? And against Baylor, which isn't a really good defense, good team, but not a good defense. 6 points, what? 6.0 a throw. Gosh, I've got these and they went away. I'm sorry, 5.2 a throw, 6.3 against Ball State, 5.6 against South Alabama. You really need that number a couple points higher in the SEC. Now, look, I think John Mateer is going to have to be a little more careful with the ball. Turnovers, I'm not going to say he's been reckless with the ball, but there's been more of them on Oklahoma's side coming into this one than Auburn's side. Bottom line to me is I think the biggest weakness in the game, I think, is Auburn's ability to throw the ball. I think these are two really good teams, but I just trust Oklahoma's ability to generate big plays in the air more based on what we've seen so far. Could this be the day that it pops for Jackson Arnold? Maybe so. Wouldn't rule that out. But I think the quarterback position and I think Oklahoma being home, I'll go the Sooners in this one. Think it'll be close. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I think it's going to be a fun game to watch. But to me, I think the home and the quarterback edge are where I go in this one. We'll be here to talk about it afterwards. I'm sure fans will come and give one of us a hard time for it because one of us is going to miss a pick at least. So in any case, come tune in when it's over on Saturdays.
Can I say one thing about that?
Sure.
Oklahoma fans, if y'all win, I'm not ducking you. I'm coaching an all-day softball tournament on Saturday.
Yeah.
So I will not be here, but I will be back on Monday. So if y'all want to hammer me about how wrong I was, I get it. But look, everything Chris said was true about the analytics and the numbers. I think Jackson Arnold this is a lifetime moment, and I think he delivers. And I think a whole lot of the passing game has been not by ineffectiveness, but by choice through the first 3 weeks.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. And hey, if Auburn wins it, Auburn fans, you're welcome to come give me grief in the reaction after the game, which we will do no matter who wins the game. Again, hit the subscribe button, enable your notifications so you don't miss it when we do it. For Jay Greeson and Chase Robinson, I'm your host, Chris Lee. Thank you for watching Southeastern 16, presented by FanDuel.